With what started off as a political movement supporting independent candidates seeking to work in public office has evolved into a party. The Build One South Africa movement registered as a political party in 2022 under its founder, Mmusi Maimane, and will contest the general elections. This will happen under the umbrella movement for independence, where Maimane will stand as the presidential candidate. BOSA will today launch its election manifesto and plead this case for support from the public. We're joined now by Build One South Africa Communications Director Ayanda Allie to tell us more about what we can expect today. Ayanda, very good morning to you. I mean, you were one of us not so long ago. Here I am interviewing you on the other end. That move for you as a journalist and, of course, having been involved briefly in politics, what does that feel like?
Thank you so much, Mpo. It's always such a pleasure to chat to you, albeit under difficult or different circumstances this time around. I think being on the ground as a journalist, having worked in the community of Soweto as well as a community development practitioner, really puts us at the coalface of some of the issues that we face in the country. And I know you can attest to this as well because, you know, after we go off air, we would huddle as journalists and reporters and really speak about the woes in the country and everything that's going wrong and how we suggest it should be fixed. I just decided to take that conversation away from the water cooler, away from the braai and the other areas where people converge and decide, let me try, you know, to do something about it. And I think this umbrella of Build One South Africa that comprises active citizens from across the country was a perfect fit because really it is people who've put their hand to the plow. Some of them are in the legal fraternity, others are in education, others are in the media, as we've just alluded to now. And these are people who are ordinary citizens, not career politicians, the majority of them, and who have just said, let's roll up our sleeves and see what we can do. So it's a little bit different for me, but I think it's a continuation of the conversations we would have in the corridors of newsrooms. It's a continuation of the work that we've done at Bukobani, and now we're hoping it will find expression in the ballot box and even in Parliament.
Yeah, absolutely. Your leader, Mmusi Maimane, is adamant that this year's elections, BOSA, will be one of the 4 options for South African president. I mean, that's a great deal of confidence. As we look to the election manifesto launch today, what can we expect?
Thank you so much. So we're launching our jobs plan. It's really a blueprint of how to build a South Africa that works. I mean, BOSA has for the last 16 months crisscrossed the length and breadth of South Africa, speaking to ordinary citizens from different walks of life, trying to ascertain what are the core issues at the heart of South Africans. What is it that we're trying to solve for? And by and large, whether it's researchers, moms and dads, people in academia, people in different workplace environments, everybody has complained about the need for jobs, a need for decent work, a need for an ability to provide food on the table, clothes on one's back, as well as a roof over one's head. We know that jobs are at the forefront because if you have a good income, you're able to provide nutritious food for your family. That speaks to health and well-being. You're able to educate your children. You're able to even make sure that you're living in a safe and secure environment. And so at the heart of it all really is the issue of employment. And we need an environment in South Africa where government can be trusted to create jobs because there is confidence in that administration, and we know that monies are not going to be looted. We know that investments will definitely come to fruition. So today I'm looking forward to something that's more than just a manifesto. I think some people are just thinking, another manifesto. No, this one is a jobs plan with clear deadlines, timelines, with deliverables, responsibilities, who will do what, when and how many jobs will be created, in which time frame. And so we're quite excited to get to the meat of it. As you know, Build One South Africa is promising a job in every home. So the devil is in the detail, and we're looking forward to that detail today.
Yeah, and in a fledgling political party with little in the way of a national footprint compared to the longer established outfits, your candidates that you mentioned are just ordinary citizens from all walks of life, have had their work cut out for them in campaigning ahead of elections. What's been the approach? Because we know, for instance, the ANC is very, very big on door-to-door campaigning.
So the beautiful thing about our candidates, Mpho, is that these are people who are tried, tested, and true, as opposed to going to a conference and voting for my buddy or my friend who doesn't have a track record of having served in the community. These are people who are being voted for by community members who say, we have seen your work because you've either started an NGO, and that's either a feeding scheme or a women's rights organization or a community policing forum, or you are helping entrepreneurs, or you are helping youngsters become employable in the community. These are people who have already cut their teeth, as it were, and have started movements and have started projects, some running 8 years in the case of myself and Bukobami Youth Center. So these are people who are trusted by their community and not just by a political party. These are people that cannot be bribed or buy votes because of their political affiliation. I can't go and say, put me in this position because I'm friends with so-and-so. My community has to elect me. So I think that has made things somewhat easier because I'm known in the community as a candidate, because people can vouch for the work that we've been doing. So yes, over and above the normal electioneering, which does include your door-to-door campaigns, a blitz here and there, these are people that are emerging from the grassroots movement. And so they have a backing from their community and their society. It's been exciting to see them make this transfer into politics. We've had workshops on how government and governance works, on how leadership roles and responsibilities should be taken extremely seriously in this position as well. So we're quite excited to see them move in this direction. And the movement has grown far and wide. By and large, we're active in majority of the provinces, and we can't wait to show what we're made of. Today, we're going to be at Victoria Yard. That venue, very quickly, Mpho, so iconic because it also speaks to creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and human ingenuity. This is an area that is surrounded by dilapidated structures, but from there emerges a movement where business thrives. And that's what we're trying to do as Build One South Africa. In the midst of the ruins that we're seeing in the country, we're trying to put together a movement of willing and able South Africans who are going to rebuild.
I suppose the big question, Ayanda, now is around trying to see if BOSA can translate these ideas into actual votes. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, also just considering what Mmusi Maimane brings to the table. He's popular. And his original vision was to build a platform which was meant to support independent candidates in running for office.
Absolutely. I think up until electoral reform catches up with what the original intent was for BOSA, we're going to continue with this mandate because we're finding that it works. And of course, Mpho, you'll know that a number of new organizations and political parties have also adopted this method that was first started by Build One South Africa, where we're saying we want South Africans to nominate and vote for who they want to see in parliament, in the provincial legislature, and for the next elections, of course, and in municipal structures. So we are saying that this is a format that works, not only because we're seeing it being replicated in other political parties, but because it seems to be finding residents with South Africans who are simply tired of political parties, who are simply tired of rhetoric. They are tired of empty promises. They are tired of just being visited only when there's elections. They want people who are with them throughout the different cycles of life. And these candidates have been exactly that. They've been active in the community, even outside of politics. And so people are not voting for another politician, even though political acumen is important. They're voting for people who look like them, who live where they live, who know their struggles firsthand, and who can relate. And of course, I think that is something that's so important, because if you're not performing for your community at those structures that I've just mentioned, parliament, etc., the community then has a right to say, we feel aggrieved by the actions or inactivity of such and such a person. We don't think that they're suitable to be there, and they will be removed.
I suppose another question which many will continue to ask in a bit of frustration is why outfits like Mmusi Maimane's BOSA and Songezo Zibi's Rise Mzansi, to just name two, can't just join forces, strengthen their electoral prospects in a season, an atmosphere where coalitions have been seen to collapse, but of course viewed as the way to go and the future of politics.
Look, Build One South Africa is definitely open to coalition. We're definitely open to working with like-minded individuals and political parties that have one thing in mind, and that is to build a better South Africa. So definitely our door is not closed to coalition talks, provided, as I said, that the agenda is to build South Africa and not to divide and not to destroy. We're looking forward to having these discussions. We already have started having discussions with some of the other political parties, and we'll definitely do more of that post the elections as well, once we see the layer of the land and can tally some of the votes that have come in far and wide for different political parties. But if we say we are for an alternative voice and we want South Africans to be active, then there is no way that we cannot support South Africans who are saying, I want to see a change in South Africa, but I will do that through this political party or that political party. If our objectives are the same and we're really singing from the same hymn book, then there is no reason why we can't work together. We are for coalitions, but I have to underscore that they have to have the same objectives as we do, which is to build, build, build.
Which parties are you talking to? I mean, if, with these discussions happening behind closed doors?
I can only say there are many political parties that we're talking to, and I can't go into much detail because some of those discussions are still at quite a sensitive stage. There are one or two issues that need to be ironed out, and I would not want to jeopardize those talks, but I assure you, Paul, that they are fruitful, that we are looking at every possible avenue with political parties that have the same vision and goal that we do.
Ayanda, you spoke about the venue being Victoria Yards, and of course, speaking to the deliberate placement of this launch happening there, let's talk a little bit about who you're hoping to pull through, who and what kind of South African is one that you're hoping to attract as we head to elections this year.
Well, that's such an important question. I mean, when we say we build one South Africa, we're saying we want a South Africa where everybody who calls this here republic home is able to enjoy its fruits, is able to enjoy its benefits, is able to live a life of dignity where Ubuntu is our key values. So we cannot select and say, oh, we want people from the upper echelons of society, or we're going to be closed to people who are not grassroots movement. We've opened our doors far and wide, and we're united, as I said, by this common goal of wanting to see a prosperous South Africa with good governance, good ethics, and fruitfulness by and large. And so we've said to captains of industry, come and join us. We've said to political leaders, even by, outside South Africa as well, those who are in the diaspora, we've made invitations to them to say, come and join us. Let's launch this jobs plan. We've also opened our doors to, as I mentioned, community organizations, community formations. I'm particularly looking forward to an organization that represents the views of those who are unemployed, to say, how do we make people more employable? How do we grow this pie and make the circle bigger, as it were? I'm also looking forward to members of communities such as people living with disabilities, to say, how can we be more inclusive in our approach as well? Always women's formation key also in the conversation. We can't have issues for us without us. So I'm quite excited. Age groups as well, far and wide. You're going to see youngsters in school uniform. We should not wait until they're of voting age before we educate them on the importance of voting. This is why we had talks like voter apathy among the youth. So we'll be having young people also with us. So if you are anyone who's living in South Africa or are a South African, we have targeted them. Every race, every age group, every political affiliation, even religious backgrounds and belief, black, white, you name it. We have made those invitations far and wide, and we look forward to seeing that diversity represented at the venue, because I believe it is really a description of who we are as Build One South Africa.
Yeah, you mentioned something important, youngsters in school uniform. Concerns have been raised about how political parties are going or trying to get to schools in convincing young people the age of 18 to register to vote or even vote. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, the importance of delivering the message, but the fine line between politics and education.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that you can never pull the wool over these youngsters' eyes, right? This is the woke generation. These are young people who are quite au fait with some of the issues and the challenges that they face. So I don't believe that anybody could come and try and convince them or sway them to vote one way or another. Our objective is very clear, and that's to urge them to understand the importance of their role in a democracy, for them to understand the significance of a vote. And whichever direction that they vote, we underscore the fact that they must vote. And I think that is the key point that we drive whenever we speak to young people. I myself, as you know, for the past 8 years have been running an organization called Wukobami Youth Center in Dobsonville, Soweto. And when I gathered my team and the youngsters and informed them of my decision to go into politics, I reinforced to the parents as well that I will not in any way, shape or form sway them to vote in any particular direction. However, I will stress that it is important that they understand their responsibility as South Africans to vote. And I think that has been the spirit with which we approach any conversation with young people. It is to really affirm them of their somebodyness and their importance in the political equation, and to stress that their vote counts and can really shape and direct their future, but also to invite them to get involved, not just as voters. We have said to them, start your political organization, start to make young people's voices heard. We have a youth desk, but if it's not the BOSA youth desk that you want to join and would rather have a food garden, or you'd rather have a young women support group, make sure that you start those, and we are here to lend a helping hand in any way that we can. I think that is our responsibility as people in the political sector. It is to make sure that people understand and not just fear that if we vote for a different political party, our grants are going to be taken away, which is fear-mongering. You know, young people have asked, if we vote against this political party, will we have our grants taken away? Our job very quickly is to say, you are the one who pays for that grant. It's not a political party. You are the one who pays for the grant through your taxes. When your parents work, there's a certain deduction that comes from their salary as well that goes towards those social grants that you benefit from. So we're trying to conscientize young people to say, do not hand over or cede over your power to any political formation, but know that you and of yourself, you're the one who can make a difference in your life.
Very lastly, Ayanda, before we say goodbye, I mean, political party funding and declarations have been quite important during this political atmosphere. I mean, we know that when it comes to declarations, BOSA spoke of 2 million rand and later 1.3 million rand being added there. And, of course, there's always questions about the agenda, the interests being served with the funders behind such movements. Who's behind BOSA?
You know, Umpo, I would not want to tell you untruths. Having just come into this political party myself, I still have to make sure that I'm abreast with all the rands and cents, the comings and goings. I would like that you and I perhaps can arrange another interview moment where we can go in depth and I can give you answers that are well researched and well understood by myself. Having been in the media myself, I think I would also not want to be told any untruths or any uncertainty. I don't want to lie to you in that regard. I still would like to familiarize myself with what you mentioned. It was prior to my start at BOSA. Once I'm clued up on those, I would love to return to your show and we can unpack it a little bit further.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Ayanda Allie, who is with BOSA now as Communications Director, speaking about Build One South Africa ahead of its manifesto launch today.